Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Salon Scoop podcast. Today, we have a digital debrief episode where we're going to be delving into salon photography, right? How you can perfect your photos. We know that taking photos is just so critical. So we're doing that today. I've got with us, as always, our expert, in salon, jack of all trades, Sarah Perrin. Sarah, thanks for being with us. What's going on in your world today?
Can't complain too much, Scott. The sun is shining. It's nice out. I'm here recording with you. So life is good.
I mean, being here with me is probably the best highlight, right?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. No question.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, I know that, you are in the salon every day, taking photos, and you see your, stylists in your salon taking photos. And it's such a critical piece of our work, right? And like our phones are a real tool now, as it's a business tool in the salon world, but being able to sort of use it effectively to take proper pictures, great pictures, really has a big impact. So I want people to be thinking about, same way that your scissors, your brushes, your hot tools are all tools that you use to perfect the look. Having your phone, but actually taking the proper photos with it, right? Using it in the best way possible is kind of perfecting your craft, right? In the same way. And that's kind of what we want to focus on a little bit today, to make sure that you're really establishing really, really quality imagery for your social media feed that can really make a difference in terms of the results of your social media. So kind of investing a little bit of time to practice this skill is important, the same way that we practice everything. It's not just about whipping out your phone, taking a quick picture and moving on. So we're going to delve into that today. And Sarah, I'd love for you to sort of start us off with some of the kind of key tips and tricks that you would recommend to, any service provider out there that's taking in-salon pictures of their client results.
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember that as a salon professional, your social media feed is essentially your digital portfolio. And I know we've all been there where it's like the picture just doesn't quite capture exactly what the look is and everything like that. But we do have some tips and tricks to make sure that you are putting out, quality photo that actually represents your work. So one of the first tips, and this is super simple, and I feel like this goes for everything, is plan ahead. So look at your day, and this doesn't take very long, but look at your day and see, which clients photograph well, right? Like maybe they're just super photogenic, or they have absolutely beautiful hair that styles perfectly. But look ahead and maybe even take a couple of minutes to text that person. Say, look, I'm looking for some content, and I would love to take some photos of your hair. Like, would you be cool to, do a little bit of a photo op after your appointment? This only takes 5-10 minutes, but then they're going to come up, like you could even ask them to wear a specific, like, let's say a neutral colored top, or maybe, have them do their makeup before and then even reserve a little bit of time to do touch-ups after. But just making sure that you're planning this ahead instead of a last minute, like, oh shit, I didn't take an after picture of this hair, and just snapping something super quick, right?
Yeah. And you totally know like who those clients are that, you love, working with their hair, and you know that they, it always looks spectacular because of maybe the actual service that you're going to be doing. It's more than just, like a root touch up,
Totally.
or something. So you can definitely prepare for that. And I think it's important also to, you can get the client excited about it. It's not just, hey, like I need content for me. You can make it about them and say, oh, you know what, like I'm so excited for you to be coming in tomorrow. I can't wait to, do the balayage or whatever, service it is that we're doing. I'd love to take some photos with you afterwards, to send you home with some great looks. I recommend, wearing this, maybe, just be prepared for it. And that way they're thinking, hey, like, it gets them excited about it as well, right? To know that you're excited and you want to take some pictures about it. So I think that's important, and not just making it about, hey, I want to get some content for my page type thing.
Exactly. And what I've seen at the salon is oftentimes, especially at the end of the service appointment, like people aren't coming photo ready to the salon for the most part, right? They're coming to get their hair done. So at least if you give them a heads up, they can be comfortable to be in front of the camera, because there's nothing worse than, throwing somebody into the spotlight and being like, I know you're very uncomfortable in front of the camera, but let's take 100 pictures of you. So, at least if they're aware of that and they're photo ready, and again, kind of like specifically targeting those clients that love being in front of the camera anyways. So super easy tip just to kind of plan ahead and think about your day before you in particular, Scott. And then my second tip, and this is something I've really noticed, especially since starting working for S.O.S, because I see, salons from all over the world and what they're posting and everything. And I've noticed that like the consistency of the background and everything like that makes a huge difference in terms of what is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So I think it's important to, pick 2 or 3 spots within your salon that have nice, crisp, clean backgrounds, that every single post that you are posting has that background, so that when people are scrolling, it's like, oh, this was done at this salon. It almost is like a way of having like a watermark on it, but as the background kind of thing. So making sure that those are your signature spots that have great lighting, not too busy of a background that isn't going to be distracting from the service that you're trying to feature, right? Absolutely. And on that note, lighting, that is one of the biggest things in the salon, because oftentimes, and I know we all struggle with this, salons have that awful, why can't I think of the word for the lighting in salons? That harsh,
like the fluorescent, like sort of
thank you, like that harsh fluorescent lighting that never accurately depicts what the color looks like, right? So if you're taking a picture just sitting in the chair or something, and that's all the lighting that you have is that fluorescent lighting, you're likely not going to get, the best picture. So when in doubt and when possible, natural lighting is absolutely your best go-to. If you can go outside, if you can go by a window, anywhere with crisp natural lighting. However, I also know that as somebody who works on the floor, sometimes I'm working till 9 o'clock at night. There is no natural lighting. So this is when it's really good to invest in some type of like maybe a ring light or a glam core light, something that provides like a really nice light that isn't going to be harsh like the fluorescent overhead lighting in your salon.
Yeah, if your salon doesn't have a ring light yet, like, I mean, this has been talked about for 10 years, so it's totally it's time. And they're not expensive. Like, you can get it easily like under $100, on Amazon. And they really, can range all over the map, but do it. That's
a super easy solution. You can also get like mini ring lights that you just put it on your phone. So it's not going to have as much of an impact, but really beneficial for, nail services. If you're trying to take pictures of nails or lashes or something a little bit more that kind of thing. So, I mean, you can get those on Amazon for $10. So it's the lighting thing isn't really an excuse anymore, because there are so many great resource things like that you can invest in to make sure that you can create the perfect lighting.
Yeah, but it has such a huge impact. I mean, if you talk to any professional photographer out there, not just for the beauty industry, just in general, like lighting is probably like the number one thing that they think about. Like, you don't shoot, into the sun. You actually shoot at very specific times of the day when the, the sunlight is actually going to be, ideal if you're doing anything sort of outdoors. So you can actually just do a quick little research to get some of these tips about, lighting in general, that will really help you probably as well in the salon.
Yeah, for sure. And then on that note, again, this kind of segues into my next tip, is editing. So sometimes the lighting isn't going to be optimal. There's going to be things that happen. And for some reason, like I kind of said before, that picture is just not an accurate depiction of what the actual color looks like. So in these cases, that's when we recommend editing. However, this is kind of like a taboo topic, because you don't want to be editing it to the point that it's an inaccurate depiction of your work, right? Like, you don't want to be throwing all sorts of filters on it so that your, crisp blonde all of a sudden looks copper. Like, you can't be doing that type of thing, right? But when I'm talking editing, I'm talking, tweaking the saturation or the brightness of the photo or something like that, just to make sure that that photo is super crisp and, again, very aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So there's a ton of different, phone apps that you can use. And I know I'm an Apple user, so I know on my iPhone, I can actually just edit, especially like the exposure, the saturation, those types of things right in the camera roll. But if you want to download a third-party app or something like that. I've used a color story. It's super easy to use. It also has some features where you can, blur out stuff in the background, or enhance in some areas. So that's one of my go-tos. And then Lightroom is always another good one, just for some basic editing.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point. Don't fear editing and think, oh, I can't edit, it's changing everything. Like, we're just saying, don't put all these filters on, whatever, but you can just clean up the picture to make sure that it's sharp. You can help with the lighting, you can help with the contrast, help, like what you said, with the saturation. You can, on some of them, sort of remove some things in the background. And that's kind of what I'm going to get into next, because there's a few sort of like, do's and don'ts that I think are important when it comes to, salon photography. And the first don't is really like, don't just take a picture from, the chair with your client, sitting in the chair, and you have the busy salon background, and you might have your station there, and you've got all your, products and tools on the station. Sarah mentioned earlier, like getting to some of 2 or 3 consistent spots in your salon. But the other thing is that your client's posture when they're sitting down isn't typically great either. So you're not getting that sort of sharp, shoulder pop as you want. Plus that just busy background, it kind of distracts from, the actual work, what you're trying to get focused on. So whether it's using a little editing tool to sort of like blur out the background, or sometimes you can now remove certain things from the background to just clean it up, is great. So, that's kind of the don't. Try not to take it from the chair. It's better to take it against a clean background, like Sarah, you mentioned earlier, with your client standing up. You'll get a much better posture and a crisper photo overall. Second thing, when we took about angles, is really important. So I would say, don't just take a straight on photo of their hair from behind. That's really like the old school way, where it's just like back of head, back of head, back of head. First of all, it's not that engaging for people to actually look at on social media. It's nice to actually see, eyes, smiles, like a little bit of if you look at the actual person a little bit, you're going to get a lot more interest in the picture, as opposed to just looking at the back of hair. So you're better off to, have your client, your guest, kind of stand in front of the camera, maybe cross their arms, lean their head back a little bit, pose them a little bit, right? Like, you've been playing and touching them for at least an hour probably in the service. It's okay to sort of play with it, make it fun for them, as if you're doing a little glamour photo shoot, and say, hey, you know what, like, pop your shoulder out, like, okay, turn your chin a little bit, get these sort of cute poses. You'll actually have much better images. The other thing, though, is like, and in terms of a don't, is don't take a straight on photo of the face. Like, we don't want it to be like a mugshot, when the police, like, right here, okay, now turn 90 degrees,
right,
and let's
here.
take your picture here. Again, you want to make it very natural and casual, as if you are in a model photo shoot for a magazine. That's kind of the spirit that you want to kind of create. So again, have your guest, cross their arms, have them like lean forward a little bit, do different things with them on different angles, and you'll see that those angles actually create really great images. Some people, I've heard, have the client sort of a little bit of an angle, but they have them like either close their eyes or look down, and then they say, on a count of 3, I want you to kind of like turn your eyes in your head slightly, and look at the camera, and think of something that makes you really happy. Think of your happy place, whatever. And that it kind of creates a bit of a natural reaction, as opposed to standing there and having this like sort of fake smile, for 20 seconds, you're trying to hold it while someone's snapping all these pictures of you. So again, make it as natural and fun as possible. You'll be blown away with how much these little tips and tricks can actually help to change the power of your photos.
I would love to just add on to that too, because again, this is something I've seen countless times at the salon. If you've ever had headshots done, if you've ever had family photos, if you've ever had any type of professional photo, you know that sometimes you really have to exaggerate certain things so that it looks a certain way in the photos. So again, it might feel uncomfortable for, you know, your client to be, you know, hinged over and like really aggressively shoulder popped and everything, but it's going to photograph so much differently than what it feels in person. So again, work with awkward angles and everything like that, because sometimes you'll end up getting the best shot, even though it looks really awkward in person.
Yeah. And I would say take a lot of photos. I mean, the people
Yes.
who do this like consistently well, like, you know, have huge social media followings. Honestly, it's not, uh, it's very normal for them to be taking like 100 to 200 photos of their guest in one of these shoots. Now that might seem excessive, but these are people that are like very, very like all over their social media and they're really killing it. But I would suggest you want to have at least, you know, 20, 30, you know, photos. And then you know how it is. You scroll, you're like, oh, you know what? Like your eyes are like a little bit closed in this one. Oh, this one, the smile isn't quite there. So you just kind of delete. If you only take 5 photos, you're not going to have a whole lot of choice. And you might realize that, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, the smile was just a little bit off, or the eyes were just, you know, a little bit squinty. So just go ahead, take a bunch of photos. You can quickly scroll through them afterwards. This whole process doesn't need to take more than, you know, a few minutes with the client. You're not actually doing a photo shoot,
Yeah.
you know, for a magazine. So don't think of it as, oh my, I don't have time to do this. Like you could literally do it in 2 to 3 minutes. You know, just kind of get them to that spot, start playing around, take photos, you know, turn them, twist them little. It doesn't take long at all, but it will really have an impact. So we highly encourage you to sort of take some of these tips to heart, start practicing. This is a skill that you can practice and get better at, just like everything else in life. And the higher quality photos you end up taking, the better impact it's going to have on your end results, you know, social media. So love to hear your thoughts and tips. And we want to start seeing more of your pictures. So tag us, you know, on your social media posts. We'd love to see it. We'll start featuring some of them in our stories. We see some of your great results. So you can do that at salon.s.o.s. Sarah, any last comments?
I would just say, like, if you're more of a visual learner and you want to see like photo examples of this, you can check out the blog post under the same name, and we will have like, again, photos of, again, exactly how to pose people and what it looks like, the difference between being straight on from the back versus throwing in some angles and stuff like that. So we will have some like photo examples of that on the blog if you want to check that out.
Great point. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck with your photos. We look forward to seeing your results, and we will also look forward to you staying tuned for our next episode. Have a great day.